AS Level Biology 9700, Paper 2, Variant 2, October November 2025. And question number 2. Question number 2 is cholera is an infectious disease, intestinal disease caused by the bacterial pathogen. Name the species of bacterium that causes cholera. There are the different species of bacteria, but the bacteria which is responsible for cholera is Vibrio cholera. Well, the next question, part B, is the World Health Organization recommends a number of different approaches for the prevention and control of cholera. Two of these are: authorities should provide access to safe drinking water. Individuals and communities should practice uh, preventive personal hygiene. Suggest and explain how these two approaches help in the prevention and control of cholera. So we have to suggest. So when there is a suggestion regarding the question, then we have to provide our own suggestions and explanation as well. So we have to, first of all, I would like to say that the cholera is a waterborne disease transmitted via the fecal oral route. That is, this bacteria is found in the feces, and then in this way it uh, follow the route, fecal oral. So providing access to drinking water, this can be the one option to get rid of this. So cholera bacteria, uh, it thrives in contaminated water, the sources where untreated sewage has mixed with drinking water. So safe water ensures that the bacteria are killed or removed before consumption. So this prevents the pathogen or this bacteria from entering the host digestive system uh, in the first place. So the second is individuals and communities should practice preventive personal hygiene. So in this regard, uh, behavior like washing hands with soap after using the toilet or before handling food can be observed. So, hygiene stops the spread of bacteria from an infected person's hands to food surface or other people. By breaking this link, you can prevent cross contamination, which is a major factor in how cholera outbreaks spread rapidly to a community. So, these are can be our suggestions that how can we deal with these two. So first of all, I'm right. The authorities should provide access to safe drinking water. How drinking water helps to get rid of this cholera. In contaminated water, safe water ensures that bacteria killed or removed before consumption. So it prevents to enter the bacteria in food's digestive system. Well, and now the second part, individuals and communities should practice preventive personal hygiene. So the second one involves the host's behavior behavior like washing hands with soap. So after using the toilet, or before handling food. So this hygiene or this hygiene stops the spread of spread of bacteria found and infected persons hands to food, surface, or other people. It will break the link or the relationship which is between the people to spread the cholera or this bacteria, which with the help of which the people are suffering with. So these are the two possible suggestions. Now, mass vaccination using an oral cholera vaccine can be carried out in situations where there is high risk of people developing the disease. Passive immunization involves transferring antibodies into a person for the prevention or treatment of an infectious disease. Some of the infectious diseases for which passive immunization is available use monoclonal antibodies. Passive immunization for cholera using monoclonal antibodies could be available in the future. So complete table 2.1 to compare an OCV and passive immunization for cholera. Fill in the empty box in row 1. Circle the correct answer from the choices given in row 3, 4 and 5. So first of all, we have to complete this empty box. Then I will explain the whole process. First of all, we have to roll. That is, the feature is component causing the desired response. So oral cholera vaccine. So you can see weekend toxin antigens. Any one of this can be written according to your marking scheme. So I will write over here antigens. And on the passive immunization for cholera, there is antibody. Then type of immunity gained. So immunity can be artificial or artificial active and artificial passive in them. So the third is stimulates production of memory lymphocytes. So here the answer is yes. And on passive immunization, the answer is no. I will explain all these. First of all, I'm making a round of all these. And then we can go with length of the time needed to have an effect. So here we will circle the longer and here we will circle the shorter. And duration of immunity, it will be longer over here and it will be shorter over here. So we have completed this table. Now let me explain this all, what I have done in this to complete this table. So first of all, you can see we have to compare these oral cholera vaccine and passive immunization for cholera. So the first component causing response is antigen or weakened or dead pathogen here in this oral cholera vaccine. So I have written antigens over here. On the other hand, the first component causing the desired response will be the antibodies in passive immunization. Now the type of immunity gained, the artificial and passive. So these are the uh, type of immunity which is produced by the oral cholera vaccine, that is artificial active immunity. And by the passive immunization, it will be the artificial passive immunity. So now I am going towards the third part, that is stimulates production of memory lymphocytes. So you know the vaccines have active immunity. So being having the active immunity triggers an immune response to create memory cells. So memory cells are produced over here in this case. So I have circled the yes. So passive immunity just provides borrowed antibodies. So no memory cells are made. So I have circled this no. In this case, memory cells are produced, yes, and in this case, the memory cells are not produced. Now, I would like to move towards the point 4, length of the time needed to have an effect. So passive immunity is almost instant. So the antibodies are already there. while vaccines take days, weeks for the body to mount a primary response. So I have written over longer because the vaccines takes days, weeks for the body to mount a primary response. So it will be longer. So it will be a longer. On the other hand, it will take longer, whereas the passive immunization will be due to these passive immunity, the antibodies, because antibodies are there. So antibodies from passive immunity, they will take very short time to break down and leave the system. So I have circled shorter over here. Now the next part is duration of immunity. So in this case, I have written shorter, and in this case, I have written longer. So memory cells from a vaccine can last for years. So they can stay for longer. They will take more time to stay in the body. Whereas the passive immunization for cholera, they will take a very short time to stay over there, to last. They will not last for many years. So their passive immunity eventually breaks down. It will break down and leave the system. So shortly it will be available. But on this, the longer availability is for the by the oral cholera vaccination. So it was all explanation about this answer. Now the production of next part of the question, the production of monoclonal antibodies for treatment involves the formation of hybridoma cells from two different cell types. So hybridoma, uh, to produce monoclonal antibodies, we need a cell that both produces the right antibodies and lives forever. So the two cell types which we can use for the formation of this hybridoma cell, beta lymphocytes or plasma cells. Specifically, one taken from a mammal has been exposed to the target antigen. And the second, which we can use myeloma cell, a type of cancer cell. So then the second is why the fusion is necessary. Fusion is necessary because the beta lymphocytes produce the desired specific antibody, but they have a short lifespan and cannot divide outside the body. Whereas myeloma cells are immortal and divide rapidly, but they do not produce antibodies. Both of they are differently play their role. That is, the beta lymphocytes, they have specific antibodies, but their lifespan is short. They will not divide. Whereas myeloma cells are immortal. They have immortal. They are and rapidly dividing and but unable to produce the antibodies. So solution is to fuse them. So to fuse them to make the hybridoma cell. So in this way, by fusing, we are creating a factory cell that has the characteristic of both parents, that is beta lymphocytes and other the myeloma cell. So it produces the specific monoclonal antibody, and it can be grown independently in a culture to produce large quantities of that antibody. So it was all about this question. Let me write it down now. The two cells are number one is beta lymphocytes. And the second one is myeloma cell. Is a type of cancer cell. And in cancer, they are continuously dividing. Abnormal division takes place. So, the what is the problem in beta lymphocytes? Produce produce the desired specific antibodies but have a short lifespan. And cannot divide outside the body. Whereas myeloma cells are immortal and divide repeatedly, rapidly and repeatedly, but do not produce antibodies. But do not produce antibodies. So by fusing them, fusing both of them into a hybridoma create a factory cell which has characteristics of parents. It produces the specific monoclonal antibodies and it can be and and it can be grown indefinitely. To produce large and quantity of antibodies. So it was all about question number 1. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.